In the previous film, I showed the move block and also the possibility to add an enable input to the move block. Now I will use the move block in Codesys and also the enable input to both the move block and a comparison block. I will start with the move block. The move block is found here. I can also drag an empty box and drop it in my network and put the name move within the block. Now some of the inputs and outputs disappeared and also the placeholder for a name here. The move block doesn't need memory allocated to it. It simply moves the value of one variable to another. I will use a variable in. When I put in the variable in, Codesys doesn't know what it is, and it also doesn't know which type it is, because I can use this move block for any type of variable. It suggests an integer, and we can use that. I want it to be declared in my local variable list. Okay, now the value of my variable in, I want to be assigned to a new variable out. I can't write here. I need to put in an assignment here, drag it and drop out. Now Codesys knows that this should be of the same type as this variable. So the suggestion is int as before. I accept that. Now, when I execute this block, out will take the value of in. I will start by testing that. I need to make sure that I am in simulation mode. Go to online, simulation, and I can log in. Now when I start, I can see that everything is initiated to 0, both in and out. I start, nothing happens, until I change the value of in. I can do that by double-clicking on the value, type in a new value here, 5, OK, and it's still not written to in. It is a prepared value, and to write a prepared value, I go to debug, write values, or Control F7. And immediately, when in became 5, out became 5 as well. I log out. I can use another move block to do something else. I can take a new box, put it on the down arrow here, and make it a move box. This time, I would like to assign the value 10 to out. 10 here, and an assignment, and out here. Now I can log in and try this code. I would like to log in with online change. That will make my code continue where it was, which means that in was 5 and so was out. Yes, in is 5, but out is 10, because here we write 10 to out. And what happens here will overwrite what happened here, because we are writing to the same variable twice. That means that whatever we put into out here will overwrite what we put into out here. Hence, out is 10. I log out again. In the previous film, I said that the move block can be replaced by a simple connection. I will try that as well. I do that by just removing this block. I click it and hit delete. Now I have the connection here. I can log in again. Codesys didn't even recognize that as a change in the program. I didn't get the question if I wanted to log in with download or online change, which means that those two lines of code were identical. And we can see that out is 10 still. Now I want to try the enable input to my move block. To do that, I want to change this block to a move block with the enable input. Blocks with the enable input I can create from here, and I use a box with en. Drag that and put it in replace here. And I write move to get the move block. Now we see that Codesys didn't help us all the way. In is an integer, and it should not be on the en input. The en input must have a boolean. in should be here. That's the value I want to move to out. I can move it by dragging the signal and dropping it here. Now I have in here. On my enable input, I want my block to react on a bool signal. I call that signal signal. Now signal is not declared. I have to do that. It should be a bool. And here as well, the out should be here. The ENO is Boolean following what happens on EN. Here, dragging and dropping does not work. I will just remove the signal from here and do that by removing the extra assignment that I put on the previous block here, which means that I have to click on the outermost part of this line and hit delete. And now I can put out here. Here I also want to have a move block with the enable input. I will copy this one and paste it here. Remove this network, delete, and copy this network, Control C, Control V. This move block I want to react on the signal 2 that also needs to be declared as a Boolean, and this time I want to write 10 to my variable out. I will log in and try this. Now I have made changes and I got the question, do you want to log in with online change or with download? If I choose online change here, I will continue the program where it was. That is, out was 10 and in was 5. We can do that. In is 5 and out is 10. We can see that those two blocks are not activated, they are gray, and that is because the enable input is false. I can make signal true here by double click it, Control F7 to write the value, and now this block is activated, the text is black, and out became 5 as the value of in. I can write a new value to in, 20, and Control F7 to write it, and out is 20. Now I can deactivate this block, Control F7, out is still 20, but if I activate this block, now I'm writing 10 to out. Out got the value of 10. I can reactivate this and deactivate this one, and we got 20 again. If I activate both blocks, I get the same result as before. Out is 10 because this network is overwriting this network. I will use one more example of a block with an enable input. I grab a new box with the EN, put it down here, and now I will use the greater than block. It doesn't need a name, it just makes the comparison in one step, and the name is not here. This block can be activated with the EN input. I want it to be activated on signal 1 or signal 2. I can find my OR block here. Drop it there, and signal or signal 2. If either of the signals are true, I want to compare in to the value 5. I want to know if in is greater than 5. If so, I will have an output here that is true. If not, the output should be false when this block is executed. My output, I put in a new variable, my answer, and answer has to be declared as a Boolean. I will try this, and I will log in with download this time to see the difference. When I log in with download, everything will start from the beginning again. We see that here, all signals are 0 or false, and my program is stopped. I have to start it. I can see that none of my blocks with the enable input are used. Now we will focus on this block. I will use the block by activating signal. Now the block makes the comparison in is 0, 0 is not greater than 5, which means that my answer is false. I can put in something that is greater than 5, 7, and use Ctrl F7 to write it. Now my answer is true, as expected. If I turn off my signal, it's false. The answer remains true. Well, this is still true. But that is not why the answer is true. The answer is true because that was the last value it got. Now we don't write anything new to answer because this block is not activated. We can prove that by writing a new value to in 2. 2 is not greater than 5. But answer is still true because this block is not activated. If I activate it by making signal true, now my answer is false. Maybe this was the result that we wanted to have, but sometimes when I see a solution like this, it was maybe not the intended result. I will make another example without the EM input to compare this to the result that sometimes is wanted in this case. I put a new OR block down here with signal and signal 2. And after that I will use an AND block. And here I will use my greater than without the enable. I can add it as an empty box, or I can find the math operators over here. Greater than. And here I make the comparison. In is compared to 5. And here I want to have my answer. New assignment and a new name to the answer. I don't want to overwrite the other value I had. That way I can compare them. I have to declare my new variable. Now I am comparing in to 5, but at the same time I want signal or signal 2 to be true in order to use the result. Here I used signal 1 or signal 2 to activate the block and make the comparison if the input signal was true. Quite similar, but not entirely. I will log in to try it. Now I log in with online change because then I will just continue where I was. And we see that in is 2, it's compared to 5, the signal 1 is true, which means that this block is active. And here we have a true signal. We see that because the line is blue. Both answer and answer 2 are false. No problem there. I will change in to 7 again. 7 is greater than 5. Write it. And both networks show true. Now, if I make my signal false, answer here remains true as before, but answer 2 here is false because this value is false, which means that I disregard the comparison by making the answer false when the signal is false. In this case, answer just remains what it was when I don't make the comparison. In some cases we want to have this, and in some cases we want to have this. But by knowing the difference, it's easier to use the blocks correctly. And as I said in the previous film, think twice before adding the enable input to a block to avoid making a too complex code.